Hello everyone, my name is Moji. You're watching a Bitcoin Bubble news channel. Getting a pro-crypto administration would be great. I believe we've had a terrible administration for crypto over the last 4 years. People like Gary Gensler, the Democrats, Elizabeth Warren, and the anti-crypto army AOAA. A change in government, especially if Trump wins, with all his claims to bring Bitcoin back to the US, etc., would make China not understand. That's great for Bitcoin in my opinion. This is the deal between Bitcoin and the Nasdaq. Now, Bitcoin and the Nasdaq tend to move in very similar ways. The Nasdaq is at an all-time high right now. That's what you'll know about it. Right now, the price of gold is very close to its all-time high. The Nasdaq is at an all-time high right now. Also, Bitcoin is not as high as it has ever been. From past trends, we know that Bitcoin is the one that does better when prices are going up and worse when prices are going down. Michelle McCrory, lead reporter and editor-in-chief at Bitcoin News, talked to Ran Neuner, founder and host of Crypto Banter, about what the Trump administration could mean for Bitcoin and how the Ethereum ETF will affect the price of Ethereum. Neuner talked about the main things that he thought were causing Bitcoin's growth before the elections. He focused on 3 important factors: a government that backs crypto, a pattern of rate cuts, and the catch-up trade. To begin, Neuner thinks that a Trump administration would be good for Bitcoin because Trump has said that he will bring Bitcoin back to the US and has been critical of how the current administration handles crypto. Second, he talked about the next round of rate cuts and cited a tweet by Dan Tapiro that said it might be one of the biggest in history. Rate cuts and more money in the market are good for investments like gold and Bitcoin, according to Neuner. Finally, he talked about the catch-up trade, which refers to Bitcoin's poor performance compared to gold and the Nasdaq. He says that this delay is caused by unnatural market forces, like sellers who are driven to sell. However, he thinks that Bitcoin will have a big catch-up trade once these forces go away. He also said that technical and fundamental reasons seem to be working together in Bitcoin's favor, which keeps his positive view on the cryptocurrency in general and Bitcoin in particular. That could really help Bitcoin go forward. The Trump government is the first. I think that the last 4 years have been very bad for crypto in terms of government. If we get a pro-crypto administration, things will be much better. People like Gary Gensler, the Democrats, Elizabeth Warren, and the anti-crypto army AOAA. So, I think that a change in government, especially if we get Trump and all of his claims to bring Bitcoin back to the US, etc., China doesn't get it. That's great for Bitcoin, in my opinion. I'm going to show you a tweet because I love the way the person who wrote it. It's another good thing for Bitcoin. Van Spencer is his name, adding, if you lived another 100 years, you might not see a bigger rate cut cycle like the one we are about to see. We have 525 basis points of pure Americana to work with. A lot of people also seem to have forgotten that rates are going to be lowered soon. Trump has warned Jerome Powell, and he told Jerome Powell not to do what he said. Trump told Jerome Powell, "You can finish your term at the central bank if you win the election in November," but he warned him not to lower rates until after the election. I don't think Jerome Powell will listen, but it's important to remember that there will be times when interest rates go down and times when cash goes up. And when rates are lowered and liquidity rises, things like gold, risk assets, and Bitcoin do really well. The third reason is the catch-up trade. What is the catch-up trade now? This is the deal between Bitcoin and the Nasdaq. Now, Bitcoin and the Nasdaq tend to move in very similar ways. The Nasdaq is at an all-time high right now. That's what you'll know about it. The price of gold is almost at its all-time high right now. The Nasdaq is at an all-time high right now. Also, Bitcoin is not as high as it has ever been. Now, we know from all the past cycles that Bitcoin is the one that does better when prices are going up and worse when prices are going down. And this time around, because of forces on the market that aren't normal. But I want to say that unnatural forces like a forced seller in the German government or a forced seller in the MT. Box coins, the biggest seller of Bitcoin of all time, or the biggest holder of Bitcoin of all time, have been in the markets and pushed down the price of Bitcoin by increasing the supply. Yes, those things are short-term, and they will be over soon. When they do, you'll likely get the biggest deal to catch up that we've ever seen. It's because Bitcoin needs to catch up to gold and the Nasdaq, which has been setting new records for several months now. That's why I think it's a bad idea to say that Bitcoin has been slow because of artificial supply dynamics when there is more cash and a Trump regime or a crypto-friendly regime, if we get one. When you put all of those things together, I think you have to ask yourself, where does this asset go next? I believe that the end of the year could be very good. This is similar to what happens every time Bitcoin goes through a cycle. There is a sideways chop every other Bitcoin cycle, and then there is a very strong bull run. You can kind of see that the bull run starts here on October 26th, which is, 2 months from now. When this happens, it's almost creepy. Additionally, I will take you back to the last half, which you can kind of see over here. This is where the bull markets began. Again, the time and shape are very, very much the same. The way things are going seems to be following the rules. One thing is clear from the numbers. What's important seems to support that one thing. Even though there are a lot of things we don't know, I think these things are true about Bitcoin and crypto as an asset class. I mean, the ETF is truly amazing. It's amazing that we now have a second crypto product that investors will accept and can put money into. I believe that ETH is a great coin and network. This technology is great. And I think that the story about ETH, which is number one, is that Bitcoin is a store of value and investors like stores of value. ETH is thought of as a tech. There is a different type of investment in tech. So I think it's great that Ethereum is a new cryptocurrency-related tech investment. I believe it will be great in the long run. In the long run, I think Ethereum will be the foundation for tokenizing real-world assets, which is something Larry Fink has talked a lot about. And I think that will be a huge part of how widely the ETF product is used and how much people want it. One thing is getting in the way though. Check to see if I have a chart for that breeze I'm interested in. It's here. A trust called ETH is a lot like the GBTC trust, which is a grayscale Bitcoin trust. What is this now? At these prices, 2.93 million Ethereum are worth about $11 billion in this trust. And until now, you couldn't redeem the trust because it's not an ETF and doesn't have a way to redeem itself. The story of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is a lot like the story of GBTC. At this point, the ETH Trust has $11 billion worth of ETH and has come to the market with a start fee of 2.5% per year. That being said, I don't know how much you know about investments, but the management fee is 2.5% per year. It is utterly and completely crazy. That's why we hope and think that when the ETF goes live, people will sell their shares in the changed ETH Trust, which will then become an ETF. They are going to sell off that ETF, which will cause the market to drop the price of ETH. People may then buy back into one of the cheaper ETFs, which means that people are selling, which will increase the supply on the market. This could cause the price of ETH to drop at first. People know that when the two assets get hit hard, it's like you're talking about the two biggest crypto assets, and that has market effects. If it does that, the price of Bitcoin is likely to go down too. If the sell-off happens and ETH goes below $3,000 a coin, I will tell everyone watching this. I believe that would be a great chance for people of all ages to buy. And the reason I say it would be a chance for people of all generations to buy is very simple. Ethereum doesn't have supply overhangs like Bitcoin does. There are no coins that the government has taken back. There isn't a US or German government. Not a single coin from a hacked exchange is being held as MT, GOX coins. Since there are too many coins in circulation, you won't have many other chances to buy Ethereum. This is the only supply glut that doesn't make sense in the whole ETH market. So as a fund, we're keeping a very close eye on the alternatives to ETH. This is because we are going to buy a lot of ETH options if the price of ETH goes down. While we have already begun buying long positions in ETH options, we're likely to wait for a